And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
It is Thursday. Lots of big news breaking in the NBA chaos. Jalen Rose in Detroit at the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy handling his duties as a founder of a high school. But we have the honor, the luxury to be joined by Mike Golic Jr., everybody. Welcome to the show, Mike. Thank you.
Man, that's a hell of a welcome. I'm not sure I quite deserve that. I haven't founded my own high school or anything yet, so I feel grossly underqualified for this chair, but we're going to try and make it work regardless.
What would be your educational philosophy if you did found your own high school?
Less is more. Always less is more.
Good. Well, we've got a lot to talk about. Stephen A. Smith dropped a bomb on First Take, updates on Paul George and Kawhi, and my favorite story of the day, a Japanese man who spent 30 years living on a remote island and a very controversial development in his life. But since this is podcast exclusive, we get to discuss the topics. They're a little too hot for TV.
Too hot for TV.
Mike, are you familiar with the song The Electric Slide?
Oh, yeah.
First of all, I have a lot about this. One thing I realized is I cannot do the electric slide dance by myself unprompted without a group around me. Yeah, you know, like some songs you can't sing unless you hear it. I cannot do it unprompted. Can you?
No, I cannot. I am wholly reliant on the people around me for most of those line dances. You think about how many times the muscle memory just never kicked in for me.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Shout out to the Cadillac Ranch in Bristol, Connecticut, which is my first line dancing experience. It's a bar in the parking lot of a hotel that I spent years at. And, if you don't want to drive after a couple beers, you walk to the bar in the parking lot of the hotel. And that is a country western bar in Bristol, Connecticut that has a gigantic, like a warehouse-size line dancing room. And you'd be surprised, Central Connecticut gets down with line dancing. I've seen 150 people in there before.
It's amazing for what you would typecast Connecticut as. The Cadillac Ranch breaks every sort of mold when it comes to that. And I've heard from a lot of our colleagues that come from the South that it is a nice little, cradle of Southern civilization stuck in the middle of very Yankee Connecticut. So it's a gem.
Well, I bring up the electric slide for this reason. It was written by Bunny Wailer, okay? And Bunny Wailer, the internet had its suspicions about the electric slide recently. I love your face because I can tell you haven't heard this story. I'm about to blow your mind.
Oh boy.
Bunny Wailer has confirmed the internet's suspicion that the electric slide is, Reggie, get the dun-dun-dun ready. The electric slide is about a vibrator.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he confirmed it. He said him and his girlfriend broke up, and when they broke up, she said, "Don't worry, I don't need you. I've got the electric slide." And if you review the lyrics of the electric slide, it becomes very evident exactly what that song is about. Your face right now, for those listening to the podcast, I just broke Mike Golic Jr. He is broken.
So I have a wedding this weekend that I'm going to. I know I'm going to hear the electric slide at said wedding, and now I know I'm going to be a broken shell of a man when it happens. By the way,
the idea that they play it at weddings, knowing this now, it adds a whole new level to the ceremony of nuptials.
Yeah, I mean, contextually, it's like the worst possible song. It'd be like playing Colder Weather by Zach Brown Band at the end of a wedding. It's like it makes no sense in the midst of all this. Although, hear the shout-outs. Shout out to that, X, by the way. What an unbelievable dismount line to go out of the relationship on. I don't need you. I've got the electric slide.
The electric slide. Yeah. Bam. That would make me want to get back with her so bad. On the first Zach Brown Band reference on the show, too. Congratulations on that. You're already really just making it your own, which is one of the reasons I'm excited you're here.
Got to find my lane.
Good. Well, you are in your lane. So, do you think we should, sort of make some updates to the dance now?
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really embraced everything that this is about now. We've got to be a little bit truer to form here. I don't know, now all of a sudden, can we do this dance at weddings anymore if we're really going to embrace it like that?
I think we can, and I think that it's just really I want everyone listening to this that doesn't believe this to Google the lyrics to Electric Slide. Because when you put that filter on it, when you read the lyrics with that filter, it becomes very evident. Mike has now broken out his phone and he's doing it.
I'm doing it real time right now.
I don't want to get into details because it does get a little, gets a little spicy when you start looking at some of these lyrics based on this, because you think a lot of it is about the dance, like jiggling and moving and being electric. It is not about the dance. The dance was not invented when he wrote this song.
That almost, to me, ups the impressiveness of the songwriting itself. If you can actually make the double entendre so deeply embedded in this that none of us saw it for so long, and we've associated with the moves, you're the songwriter of the generation. You're
really
brilliant.
Is. Bunny Wailer's brilliant. It very much, when, like, this morning to me had that end of Usual Suspects feeling when, Verbal Kint sort of like stops limping and walks away, and what's his name, Chaz Palmieri kind of freaks out and drops the mug, and the Barbershop Quartet and all that. It was very much one of those things. I mean, it just really want to educate educating people is really what's important here at Jalen and Jacoby, and it's like revealing the truth is what's important. And now everybody knows the truth about Electric Slide.
It's a valuable
Reggie
public service.
is now reading the lyrics into my ear, and it really, it just, it gets raunchy. It's raunchy. It's very raunchy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were here today, Mike, to share this with me. I'm really glad you were here today.
I feel enlightened now, and I get to take this out into the rest of my, the world with me for the rest of the day and keep opening minds. I feel like Morpheus in the Matrix, like I'm just walking up to everyone like, do you want to know the electric slide as you once did, or the way it needs to be known?
Exactly. This wedding is going to be great because you can be the source. You can be the source of this information for everyone at the wedding. Like, you go to the rehearsal dinner or whatever, be like, tomorrow during the electric slide, listen to the lyrics. Reggie had a good point in my ear, and he rarely does have a good point in my ear. He said, does the electric slide even have lyrics? And like, if you were to say, Jacoby, sing the electric slide, I don't think I would know anything besides those two words, electric and slide, were in it.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate. I feel like I did this yesterday with somebody where there's a lot of songs. It was a friend of mine was singing S&M by Rihanna, and it's like you get through a couple of the words that everyone knows, and then everyone's just kind of making noises that are right around it because they haven't really fully put this together yet. I feel like a lot of songs fall into that, but the electric slide is the heightened version of all this.
It is. I find it's almost impossible for me to sing songs without hearing the song or someone else singing it along with me, and then I can do pretty well. But even like the national anthem, I have a hot, controversial anthem take, which I don't know if you've heard any of those. No. Like, even the national anthem, sometimes I get stuck. I'm like, wait, is it the dawn's early light? Is it the dawn's early bombs bursting in the air? Yeah.
I thought I'm always thankful they put the lyrics up on the Jumbotron if I'm at a stadium. So if I'm going to sing along with this, you're going to give me the lyric with the little bouncing ball over the top of it so I don't mess this up, because clearly that's not the one you want to mess up right now.
This is already the hottest anthem take in the history of sports media right here.
This really is transcendent.
So I wanted to bring this topic up for you because you obviously work with your father, and as did Austin Rivers about 2 days ago, and he was traded. So how would you feel if your father, Mike Golick Sr., traded you to Fox Sports?
Shook, although the move to California would be nice. That'd be like one of those, it'd be the anti-Blake Griffin, where instead of going from LA to Detroit, I got to go from West Hartford to Los Angeles. So geographically, that would be nice. The rest of me would be quite shook. I went into work the next day, and I saw him on the phone out in the hallway just staring at me, and I figured it was just coming. I figured he had made his choice.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
He just didn't know how to break it to you. That's fine. There's also reports today about the imminent release of Drake's album. It's coming out tomorrow. It is a double album. One album will be rap. One album will be R&B. Your reaction to that news?
I mean, the least surprising Drake move ever. This feels like what he's been destined for all along. He's just been slowly, like, feeding us little bits of this. Like, kind of like how you build up an immunity to a poison. You just slowly feed people it over time. And then when you finally get to it, you're completely immune. Like, Drake can do anything at this point, and I'm not surprised. We've seen it all from him.
He's getting further and further from actual hip-hop. Like, it's like now he's doing a half R&B album. Next is going to be spoken word. Like, in like 3 years, he's going to drop like a TED Talk. It's going to be like, this is just me giving a motivational speech to women around the world that just got broken up with.
Yeah, you don't have to do this anymore.
Yes, exactly. That's where we're headed with Drake. And you know what? I'm definitely here for it. I'm going to listen to this album.
It's the truest version of himself, right? Like, TED Talk Drake, to me, is the eventuality. Like, at his core, when you strip away everything else that we've forced Drake into, all of a sudden you get TED Talk Drake. That's the persona I want to cultivate.
I do want to say this about Drake. He hosted the ESPYs. I work on the ESPYs. He came by and did like a bit with Jalen and Bill. And he was one of those guys that was just like, when he meets you, he makes you feel special. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, they're like, hey, this is Jacoby. Like, he's the producer. And he looks you right in the eyes and shakes your hand and does the thing where he uses the other hand to double grab and handshake. Looks you right in the eyes and goes, it's such a pleasure to meet you. You know? And I was just like, whoa. And he did that to, like, the sound guy. It wasn't just like, hey, because I was, like, you know, directing the shoot or whatever. It's like, sound guy, everybody. I was like, oh, man, Drake, it's going to be hard to hate you now. It's going to be really hard to hate you now.
Man, that's powerful. Like, I just got chills a little bit.
It was good. It was good.
And I want to imagine he's, like, giving everyone advice, and it's all through, like, the prism of his lyrics. So he'll grab your hand, he'll pull you in, he'll just look at you, he'll go, I'm just saying you can do better. And you're like, yeah, you know what, I can actually.
Yeah, it's like, know your value.
Thank you for believing in me, Drake.
That's what he said. That's what he said to the sound guy. He's like, know your worth. And then I just thought, I was like, imagine just the energy that he has to expend, because you have to imagine he probably gets introduced to, like, you know, 50, 60 people a day. Just like the energy day after day to, like, give that sort of enthusiasm, that fake enthusiasm. And I can't imagine it's genuine unless he's some sort of, like, supreme being. To do that day after day, I just don't have that. I don't have that. I don't think I'm ready for superstardom, Mike Golick Jr. I don't think I'm ready.
No, there's a certain level that gets tremendously uncomfortable, but it really is him applying his sports fan sensibilities to every interaction in his life. He is going to treat every person he meets like the best person he meets, just like he's going to wear every sports jersey like it's his favorite team.
I know you listen to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast every single day, but just to catch you up in case you missed an episode or two, I am a self-acknowledged die-easy fan of sports. So, like, the opposite of a die-hard fan, you know? So I grew up in Massachusetts, so I was a Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, Red Sox, and the Patriots guy. But now I just don't really care. I just kind of root for the home team in overtime. So me and Drake have that in common. Like, if I go to a Clippers game, I'll root for the Clippers. If I go to a Mavs game, I'll root for the Mavs. If I go to a Nuggets game, I'll root for the Nuggets. Because I like the energy. I like the combined energy of everybody around me, and I want everyone to be happy around me. Do you find anything wrong with that? Die easy for sports fandom.
No, I actually fall right into that same category. So I grew up an Eagles fan just because my dad played there for the longest, but then they fell into one of the two categories of teams for me football-wise that exist, which is teams that either cut me or teams that didn't sign me. So I kind of hate all of them equally at this point, and like you, just basically root for stories that make my job easier now. The only area where my fandom transitions from die easy to die hard would be Notre Dame athletics of any sort. There I am irrational, I am irreverent, I am all the awful things that fans can be, but everywhere else, I'm right with you.
What would you say to the accusation? How do I say it like this? How would you classify Notre Dame student body's reputation around the country?
I guess I would ask specifically what the reputation is, because a lot gets said about the Notre Dame student body, and honestly, most of it is deserved.
Okay.
I will say, I mean, for a reputation of a group of kids that generally get looked at as nerdy or maybe a little bit off the beaten path, they get after it. Like, I was always proud to see our student body out on the weekends, leaving the football games at halftime because they were so hungover from the parking lot before already. It took me going back after to the tailgate once I had finished playing to fully appreciate what our students were putting themselves through just to support us. So I gained a newfound level of respect for them at Pole 2 in the parking lot.
So we have a bit on this show, which I know you listen to every day and watch twice a day. It's called Cultural Regional, and I didn't realize how regional the college football experience was, because I'm from Massachusetts. We don't really have a college football team outside of Boston College, which counted a couple years every 20 years. Yeah. And I went to New York University, which literally does not have a football team, but we did a show about basically the college football experience down south in the SEC and going to the big game every week. You know, we've all seen some version of that show. These people are insane. Like, in the South, they will get in an RV and drive to the game on Tuesday, park their RV, party until Saturday, and then go to the game. It really opened my eyes to the commitment to partying surrounding a sporting event, which is something I've never experienced before. And you're saying Notre Dame is similar.
Yeah, Notre Dame is similar. Every college football environment kind of operates under the same rules as an airport, where it suspends a lot of the normal laws and norms of society in favor of just this anarchy around these events, which basically means you can drink whatever, whenever you want, without any sort of recourse. The difference is down south is, at Notre Dame, we're usually fighting against weather, so you got to do whatever it takes to just stay warm out there. Down south, they can go all out because they've basically got beautiful weather year-round. So you'll see chandeliers out at these tailgates, people wearing their Sunday best. It's insane what the SEC puts down.
Yeah, the clothing choice on the females was something that really blew me away. Like heels, dresses. I was just like, this. It's like it was a real thing, especially down Alabama and Auburn and these kind of like Florida. It was just like a lot of like you said, Sunday best, like heels going to the game, and also like wearing heels in a sundress, and also being like, I can't believe we're playing a Tampa 2 against this team. We really need to go full man, and I don't think we have the personnel to keep up with their slot receivers. Like there's that level of intelligence about the game itself.
When we were getting smacked by Alabama in the national title game my last year at Notre Dame, one of my buddies was in the crowd sitting next to one of those fans, a woman, wearing heels, all done up and everything. And beginning of the game, we had a call that didn't go our way, and she looked at my buddy. They were going back to back in national titles that year, 3 of the last 4. And she looks at him and goes, yeah, that tends to happen sometimes. These referees will miss calls early in these big games. The lights are a little too bright for them too. And then just went back to, cheering ha-ha every time ha-ha Clinton Dix broke something up. So it was the level of vet status extends to the fans.
So there's a report that the Big Three, I'm sure you're familiar with the Big Three Basketball League. Shout out to Ice Cube, who was here yesterday at the Get Up set.
Shout out.
They're going to permit their players to use cannabinoidal supplements, oils, and such as a pain treatment for recovery. Okay, a couple things. Number one, do you think they drug test in the Big Three?
God, I hope not, because I'd like to see them actually field teams.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, it was one of those things where I was like, wait a second, like you're going to permit your players to use CBD? Like, are you guys seriously cracking down on this in the first place? And in the second place, as someone who dabbled in professional football but played serious big-time college football, do you think that marijuana should be used as an actual medicinal treatment for pain and stress and anxiety and whatnot?
Yeah, no, I absolutely think so. There's enough guys that do already on their own, and just in talking to guys that I know have used it in that way, there are a lot of benefits to it. It does help a lot of guys out, and compared to what we all kind of figured out we were pumping into ourselves with all the opioids and stuff that you can kind of just get whenever you want in a football locker room. I mean, for the most part, if you're looking to get some sort of painkiller, they're willing and able to give it to you. And I don't know, after a while, you just start to feel the way your body is on one and the other, and it makes the decision pretty easy.
Let's give the people what they want.
Gotta do it.
Well, Stephen A. Smith got a couple calls after hours regarding LeBron James, and he dropped this bomb on First Take this morning.
I got 2 phone calls last night, after hours, with folks telling me that LeBron James reached out to Kevin Durant. Well, LeBron James reached out to Kevin Durant via text, from what I'm told, about coming to Los Angeles.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. Apparently, Stephen A. Smith got calls that said that LeBron James, from vacation, by the way, texted Kevin Durant about potentially joining up together and playing together, not in Golden State. My first question is, we all know what Kevin Durant had to deal with when he made the decision to join Golden State. Do you judge LeBron James for attempting to team up with Kevin Durant?
Yep.
I don't, just because they've both kind of been through the wall on this already. It should be easier every time after this for whoever the next person is to deal with it, and you're never going to get a version of this that's as heightened as Kevin Durant to 73-win Golden State team. So anything after that should, in theory, be easier, and this really falls into the Kevin Durant school of how do I show I'm great. He said being the best guy on a team of already great players shows that you are better than just being great on a bad bad team. He could do that next to arguably the best player in basketball right now in LeBron James and show his worth even more that way.
I like this as well. I mean, I support this move. If it happened, I like this from LeBron. It's just due diligence. I have a philosophy called get the know. You know what I mean? Just get the know. See, why not play with one of the best players in the league who is also a free agent? Call up, explore it, send a text, and just get the know. Do you think he used emojis?
Oh, he had to. Listen, he's understanding his audience on this one. He knows Kevin Durant's sensibilities. He knows this has been a guy who's active on social media, sometimes in all the wrong ways. So you got to hit your target audience with this one. There were absolutely, I'd say, over/under set at 2.5 emojis.
Well, one thing Stephen A. did say is he knew that LeBron texted Kevin Durant, but he did not know what Kevin Durant texted back. So we decided to come up with some theories. We have some theories about what Kevin Durant could have texted back. You tell me what you think is most likely. Number one, nope. Look forward to bouncing you from the playoffs next year, though. Good luck. That's one. All Second one would be, you're really trying to make everyone hate me now, aren't you? And number three would be, new phone, who dis? What do you think is most likely that he texted back?
I'm going to go with C just because I feel like Kevin Durant's the kind of guy to try and call back the new phone who dis trend when it's well in the past at this point. That feels on brand with his social media presence. So I think that's the callback that he's looking for in all this. The rest is a little too confrontational. He would save that for some roundabout way.
That's fair. Or I think I would have liked if he just put up the 3 dots and then just erased them, and then put up the 3 dots and then just erased them, and then put up the 3 dots and then just erased them. That's what I would have done if I was Kevin Durant. Well, that was some actual journalism with real reporting and sources and whatnot. But right now, it's time for some unfounded, irresponsible speculation about free agent LeBron James. Okay, it all starts here. This is huge news. We have direct information from a former teammate of LeBron James that says he is definitely going to play in Los Angeles. Allow me to explain. It all starts with this picture of LeBron James putting on Chuck Taylor shoes. That picture was posted by Snoop Dogg on Instagram. Snoop Dogg captioned the picture with, "'Cause wearing Chucks now, he coming to LA." Isaiah Thomas then commented, "He's def coming to LA, LOL." Mike Golick Jr., this is a former teammate of LeBron James, saying he's definitely coming to LeBron James. Should we just end all of this speculation because that is going to be a fact? Because anything that is written on a comment on Snoop Dogg's Instagram is as good as gold.
Absolutely. Shut it down. We've been looking for clues in all the wrong places. We've been looking at kids, at schools, at all these things that don't really matter. It's what has he got on his feet and what does Snoop Dogg have to say on the subject. You combine it with the fact that it happens in the one place that breaks more NBA news than any other medium known to mankind, that being Instagram. And this to me has all the makings. I don't know why this is reckless speculation at all. This sounds like the most credible journalism we could have conjured up for this show.
Well, I definitely believe that he's going to Los Angeles because he was wearing Chucks. And anything that gets reported by Snoop Dogg on Instagram has to be good as gold. I look forward to that. And we can always point back to this moment and saying, yes, Woj, Shams, everyone, you did report it, but Snoop Dogg on Instagram had it first. Moving on to Kawhi Leonard. This Kawhi Leonard saga just keeps going and going and going. And the latest is this, that the Lakers are making a push on a clock to put together a package that would entice the Spurs to trade them Kawhi Leonard. They are trying to do so before Friday, July 1st, when LeBron James becomes a free agent, because they believe if they put together a package and got Kawhi Leonard, that would not just bring them Kawhi Leonard, but it would also bring them LeBron James. My question for you in all of this, Mr. Golick Jr., is, should the Lakers make the Spurs an offer they can't refuse? I'm talking about Kuzma, Ingram, Hart, picks, maybe even Ball. Should they put together an offer that the Spurs can't refuse now in the next 48 hours to land Kawhi Leonard and potentially LeBron James?
Absolutely. Listen, there are only a handful of guys in this league that are actual league shifters, guys that based on where they move are going to change the balance of power. And the Lakers, your plans have changed now that this is a realistic option for you. It may be one of those things you show up at a party and you know a good-looking girl is there, but you don't know if she's interested. All of a sudden, you've gotten a clear indication that LeBron James is interested if certain things happen. So you got to pull out all the stops now. You got to change your game plan. There's no more waiting for this young core to develop. There's no more hoping on the thing things that you thought could be certain. You got to shoot for this now because you may never have an opportunity like this again.
And we also saw this with the Heat, and not really with the Cavs. When he went to the Heat, they pretty much gutted the team in order to bring the Big Three in. Lost in the finals the first year, but then over time brought in some other players and had, some more supporting cast come together. And they ended up winning 2 championships. I could see the Lakers doing this. I'm not sure I see the Spurs sort of clearing the path for a team in their conference to have 2 of the best 5 players in the NBA.
That definitely gets a little bit different there, especially because everyone wants to compare this to what we saw in Indiana with Paul George and the Spurs last summer, but the difference is we don't have this hard clock, this deadline on Friday that's really going to force the Lakers to do something crazy.
Well, I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to speculate and read way too much into something that happened on Instagram because that's what we do in sports media nowadays. LeBron James followed Jason Tatum on Instagram in the last 48 hours. Does that guarantee he is going to be a Boston Celtic?
100%. Listen, this is all about timing because he had plenty of opportunities in proximity. I know it's 0, dark, 30, 23 or whatever during the playoffs.
Whatever it's called.
Whatever it's called in that, but you've got plenty of time in proximity around there or right after the finals to go ahead and hit that follow, and instead you wait until this critical juncture in free agency. No. We can leave no stone unturned right here.
Well, we've talked about LeBron. We've talked about Snoop Dogg. We've talked about Kawhi Leonard. Now we're obligated to talk about Paul George because that's what we do here at ESPN. Paul George, it's being reported that he is going to opt out of his contract with the Thunder. However, that doesn't mean that he's not going to be on the Thunder. It just means that he's going to sign a new contract this year. He's obviously been linked to going to the Lakers for years now. And here's what he had to say about making this decision. Quote, "Being a free agent is overwhelming. It's a lot of things that go into it, trying to find the right fit. What's the best place for me to raise my kids? A lot is playing into this, so it's a bit overwhelming." Wouldn't deciding where you're going to get paid $30 million a year to play basketball be less than overwhelming, but kind of joyous?
It would be if this wasn't already the world you live in. I can understand maybe relative to his current lifestyle, it's overwhelming. But for me, you lose the benefit of the doubt because this is overwhelming good attention. This is positive attention being paid to Paul George. He's the belle of the ball right now. When he's used to in the past getting all the negative attention of giving yourself god-awful nicknames like Playoff P that are self-appointed and bring nothing but unwanted slander to you, your mentions, and everyone close to you. His family had to suffer because of that nickname through a lackluster playoff performance after putting that bullseye on your back. So I'm sorry, this should be a weight off everyone in that group's shoulders.
Well, there's a lot of speculation and rumors and reports all over the place about NBA free agency and which team is going to win free agency and whatnot. But more importantly, I have a question for you. Which NBA player is winning summer vacation? We've got, of course, LeBron James, who is staying in Anguilla. I don't know how to say it. I'm bad at that. $75,000 a week for his pad. We also have Ben Simmons, who is dating Kendall Jenner, and they reportedly moved in together. And we have Dwayne Wade, who is in Ibiza with Udonis Haslem, and they're dancing together in a nightclub. Mr. Golick Jr., who is winning summer vacation in the NBA?
Yeah, listen, all those exotic locations are great. LeBron James previewing yet another album that the rest of us don't get to listen to beforehand. But I got to give this one up to Ben Simmons. Like, listen, there's just a different level when it comes to this Jenner money, man. And we can all stigmatize these Jenner tangent relationships. But at the end of the day, you are going to a place where the money is longer than any NBA contract, any NBA career, any NBA anything. You're just in a different level and stratosphere. So I have to imagine what's going on there is just more extravagant than any of this.
As someone who recently moved, I do have to say the TMZ reporting that they're living in a place that's $25,000 a month. That's just way too much. That is just way too much to be paying a month. That is insane. Come on, Ben Simmons. I know you're a millionaire, but gotta be more frugal than that, man. 5 bedrooms for $25,000 a month? Please. I'm going to say that LeBron James is winning summer vacation because he's always winning summer vacation. Moving on, On Complex's brilliant show Hot Ones, Joel Embiid is a guest, and they tease the episode. And during that, there's a clip where Joel Embiid says that he could eat 15 Nutella sandwiches in one sitting. Number one, have you ever had a Nutella sandwich?
No, but I've had Nutella in a donut pocket, so I'm very open to this idea.
Okay, number two, how many Nutella sandwiches could you eat in one sitting?
More than Joel Embiid. I refuse to believe he could actually eat 15, and I just know that I can put down more than him.
I love your confidence. Also confident, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow's been on a tear. We haven't talked about Tim Tebow for quite some time, and he is actually performing like a Major League Baseball player. This month, he's hitting .315, but he's only hitting .256. Will we ever see Tim Tebow get brought up to the Major Leagues?
No, that's going to be a hard no, and let's put it this way. In the Mets organization, if that's not happening already, considering the amount of, or the lack of run support that they've been giving DeGrom and Syndergaard and the rest of these guys, it ain't ever going to happen.
That was actual baseball analysis on Jalen and Jacoby. Great work. Most important topic of the day. In San Diego, there's a Rite Aid. And there were some people loitering outside of that Rite Aid that they didn't want there. So how did they solve this problem? They blasted Barry Manilow outside of the Rite Aid to discourage people from loitering there. Would the sounds of Barry Manilow discourage or encourage you from loitering outside of a Rite Aid?
Oh no, you have just fueled my fire, friends. Any sort of outdoor music, any sort of public music just entices me to dance even more, to be there even more. So congratulations, Rite Aid, you played yourself.
I feel bad for Barry Manilow. Somewhere Barry Manilow's like, why do I have to deal with this? Why am I in the news? Like, you guys are trying to get rid of people by blasting my songs. I support you, Barry. Shout out. I've got some news that I think that you've got some unique insight in. Alabama football program just made an announcement about their new, let me get it right, sports and nutrition facility. It will be opening soon. It is 25,000 square feet, has a fuel center, a smoothie bar, 5 performance chefs, 4 dietitians, a dining patio overlooking the practice field, 50 HD TVs. Now we know about this, but there's also the UCF is going to have a lazy river, and Clemson has a slide and laser tag. And what else do we have? The Buckeyes have a waterfall. You played big-time college football. How much does this stuff play a role in recruiting players, and how much does this add to the success of a program?
It definitely helps in recruiting because as a high school kid, you're dumb enough to look at all this and think you're going to use it to its fullest extent. You don't realize that in the course of college football, they're going to make you really tired, and you're going to see a lot of your teammates. And after practice and meetings and training table and study hall, you are going to want to be anywhere but the facility. Even the nicest facility, even the finest of lazy rivers and flat screen TVs are not going to be enough to make you not want to walk out of that building and just go and be anywhere else.
Really? So even after a tough practice, they would have a smoothie bar right there and a place to eat, and you would just bypass that and go right to the normal caf on campus?
Oh, no, let's not get crazy. I mean, if the smoothie bar is right there.
I love a smoothie. I love a good smoothie.
Yeah, I'm going to go enjoy a good strawberry banana smoothie. Yeah, maybe pick it up to go. I've already been in meetings for a while. You know, having the food is nice right there, but listen, this actually also makes me feel bad. I realize why we lost so badly to Alabama in the national title. We're playing Pop-A-Shot, and they've got that.
I also want to say this. There's 2 elements to this that I really want to point out. Number 1, laser tag, wildly overrated. Wildly overrated. I bet no one is using that laser tag facility in Clemson. Number 2, lazy rivers, wildly underrated. Would you agree with those?
Yeah, those are both strong takes. Laser tag is a clear sign that someone old designed this thinking they understood what young people liked, and swing and a miss on that one. I do still remember the laser tag credo for the most part, but more importantly, we need to get onto this lazy river discussion. Lazy river is one of the more wildly underrated phenomenons that exists right now. It offers you the opportunity to do my 2 favorite things, which is either sit or lay down in a suspended space and possibly drink outdoors.
I love everything about this. There are not enough lazy rivers on the planet. I just want to make a movement, and the producer's in my ear telling me to move on, but I do not want to move on. My lazy river take is strong. I want more lazy rivers on this planet. I'm going to start a movement. I'm going to write a strongly worded email. Let's get this going. #lazy river. Moving on. Fine, per producer. Floyd Mayweather bought a watch. Not just any watch. He bought this $18 million watch. I do not believe it actually cost $18 million, but that is what being reported by our friends at TMZ. An $18 million watch. It has 239 emerald cut baguette diamond stones. I don't even know what that means. And they each weigh up to 3 carats, an $18 million watch. I have a strong take about watches, Mike. Everyone has a cell phone. Everyone now has a device that tells time, which has rendered the watch from a functional item when you actually needed a watch to know what time it is to a completely fashion item, something that you do not need but you wear. It's basically a piece of jewelry. My question for you, Mike, do only jerks wear watches?
100%. Jerks only wear watches. You're right. It is a complete fashion statement and accessory. But I'll take it a step further because jerks might wear watches. Jerks might throw one on. They might even buy an $18 million ones. But a true jerk, someone who's really hateful of themselves, gets it tattooed on them. They get a watch tattooed on them for the rest of time. So it's the same time all the time. It's completely useless other than jewelry.
Does that say now on it as the time?
Yes, I am that pretentious where I have a watch tattooed on me that says now. Or if you flip it upside down, it says Monday. So either way, you're living in a man-made hell of my own construction.
But did you know about the Monday angle when you got the tattoo?
I didn't. It was one of those things that all of a sudden I looked down from my angle and I realized, dear Lord, I have set myself to Monday from now until the end of time.
For eternity. Oh my God. I love that so much. I'm so glad you're here today, Mike Golick Jr. Also, I want to say this. If I had an $18 million watch, I think it would really stress me out. Like, I get anxious if I have more than like $200 in my pocket. If I had $18 million around my wrist, the entire day I would just be concerned about the $18 million on my wrist, and I would have absolutely no fun showing it off to anybody. But I'm not Floyd Mayweather. Him and I are very different people.
Just a little bit.
Moving on. It's time for News That Matters. Today, we learned the story of Masafumi Nagasaki. Masafumi Nagasaki is an 82-year-old man who left Japan to live on a remote island, and he's been doing so for 30 years. What? Also, he's completely naked all the time. I love Masafumi Nagasaki so much. Once a week, he goes and gets food and some supplies from people that are not with him on the island. However, those people told authorities that Masafumi was not feeling well. Then the police went to the island, removed Masafumi from the island for treatment, and they will now not allow him to return. I have so many questions for you about this. Number one, is it the responsibility of the authorities to remove Masafumi Nagasaki because they believe he is ill?
Absolutely not. This man made a decision to live off the land. You got to let him live and potentially not live based off that. These are the sacrifices we make.
Number two, is it kind of disappointing that he goes once a week to get supplies?
Yeah, it really contradicts my first answer.
A little bit.
Yeah, it makes me respect him a little bit.
It's kind of like, dude, you're going to Target once a week? Like, that's not exactly living on a remote island naked by yourself.
Yeah, I go Whole Foods there? Jesus.
One thing we do in this program, Mike, is we quote-unquote give the people what they want. And part of that is just hearing the voice of the people. So we have a voicemail called 985, not called, it's called a voicemail. The number is 985-80-JALEN, and you can call that number, and then you can leave a message, and Reggie, our producer, listens to those messages, quote-unquote listens to those messages. I believe he only listens to the first 5 and just picks those, and there's lots of them that go unlistened to, because people complain to me about it on Twitter. However,
respect.
I believe that he has found a couple voicemails for us today, like this one.
That's it. That's it. I've always wanted to call. I never call, but as a brown disc golfer from the Northeast, I gotta call and just shout out to all of us. Minimal, but all of us. Shout out Reg. My heart's kind of racing because I didn't think I'd actually. So one more thing. I never watched the show. Strictly pod listener. Just caught a glimpse the other day because something got rained out. Noticed that Jacoby is a blazer and t-shirt guy. Jalen, you fashion things, whatever. As a recent promotee at work, got a little management thing, nice little office, you know what I mean? Got to step my blazer game up. Looking for tips, suggestions, anything you got, I'd appreciate it. Tons of love. Shout out Reg. Shout out your whole staff, record label and crew, all that. Anything's appreciated.
Wow. Wow. I mean, he really cut to my core on a couple things. Number one, as we have a segment, Cultural and Regional, and we decided that disc golf is both cultural and regional. And one thing that this caller did, which I love, is he didn't just say, I'm a brown disc golfer. He shouted out the whole Brown Disc Golfer Society. They have conventions. They have like an annual convention in Vegas where they get together in disc golf. Like, I really want to know more about this collective of human beings that are people of color that also disc golf. I don't believe that they don't exist. I want to make that very clear. I am sure that they do exist. I just want to know how they communicate with one another, what hashtags are we using, and how this all works. But more importantly, I want to talk to you about this, Mike. The T-shirt under the blazer thing. I've done it here on the program a couple times. I was hard, fast against the T-shirt under the blazer. I was really against it. But I have some excuses. I don't like excuses, but this is definitely an excuse. It's very hot and muggy here in New York, and I've got some blazers at the office, so I will wear a T-shirt to work, but then I'll be like, you know what? Like, I can't just be on TV with a T-shirt, so then I'll throw a blazer on top. I thought I pulled it off, but this gentleman, the brown disc golfer, called me out, and now I feel bad about it, and I probably will never do it again. Where do you stand on T-shirt under blazer?
I'm a big fan of it, but I'm also understanding that self-awareness has to be a part of the way we deal with all this. I think you can pull it off. I'm cognizant of the fact that every time I have tried to, and I go home and I get ready to come out here for Sports Nation or something like that, and I see everyone else doing it, and I would go home and I'd throw on a T-shirt that I think would work, and I'd throw the jacket on, and every time I would beat myself back off that point. So I feel like that's a difficult leap to make fashion-wise, and that's why I'm proud of you for basically, using necessity is the mother of all invention.
I tried. I will say this also. You cannot have like a graphic T-shirt underneath the blazer. I've seen Marcellus do this from time to time, and I can talk about him because I think he's going to leave the company. But I do not believe you cannot have like a graphic T-shirt under a blazer. I will only use a solid basic tee under a blazer. Don't at me, Marcellus. I apologize. I love you very much.
That was my next question, are there rules to this game? So clearly, is that the only rule to the T-shirt under the blazer game? Like, can you do a V-neck? Is it strictly normal collars?
I mean, first of all, I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm uncomfortable. I mean, I feel uncomfortable now just even referencing the fact that I once did it in my life. But I do believe that the T-shirt, one of my rules would be no graphics, maybe like a striped, but no, just only basic patterns, and by no means, under any scenario, can the T-shirt be longer than the blazer. Yeah, if the T-shirt is longer than the blazer, then like you might as well just wear no shirt underneath the blazer because you'd be in a better spot. Shout out to that caller. He really made me understand myself better. I really had to look in the mirror there for a second. I think I'm going to cry. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Jalen and Jacoby, what's up? This is Ryan from Denver. Shout out Red. Shout out the whole crew. Jalen, love you, man. Go Blue. Waiting to get those banners back up. Jacoby, you're my brother. I love you, man, but I feel like I have to share a little bit of information with you that I think you really need. I've heard you the last couple shows mention Kirkland, and it brings to mind that you always talk about repping that Kirkland life. Oh, man, I hate to do this to you, but I have to tell you the truth. There actually is no such thing as a Kirkland brand. Those products are basically in Costco from the makers of the original products. As part of the agreement to be in the store, and they're basically just rebranded as Kirkland. So like when you're buying Kirkland batteries, you're actually buying Duracell batteries. When you're rocking those Kirkland white tees, you're probably actually rocking some Hanes tees. So man, I don't mean to hurt you with this information, just felt like you should have all of the information. Love you guys, love the show, keep getting them checks.
I have a bone to pick, not with the caller, but with Reginald Hooks, who's our producer. Why would you expose me to this information? Knowing my love for the Kirkland lifestyle, why would you ever do this? Why would you do this, Reg? Why would you? I would like the wool over my eyes, preferably Kirkland wool sweater over my eyes. Are you familiar with Kirkland?
Oh, I'm familiar with Kirkland, and this is the only thing I would say to kind of save you and put you back in this bubble, is did I miss him listing his qualifications to say why he knows this information?
Yeah. Give me your sources.
Yeah.
Give me your sources. I was like, Kirkland's not a brand. Tell that to my underwear that I'm literally wearing right now that with the tag says Kirkland on it. Tell that to the Kirkland beer that's in my fridge. Tell that to my Kirkland t-shirts. Tell that to my Kirkland orange juice that is absolutely delicious. It tastes like no other orange juice on the planet. I believe in Kirkland, and it really gets down to, if you want to go there with it, I'm upset now. If you really want to go there, what is a brand? What is a brand? if you're like, oh, it doesn't even exist as a brand, they just take other products and put their logo on it. Well, at the end of the day, isn't that a brand? And if you think about the meaning of the word brand and where we get the word brand from, it's from cattle because they put their brand on the cattle. So isn't just slapping the Kirkland logo on something in itself a brand?
You just stay woke that caller into the sun. There's no coming back from that. He can never call into the program again. Like I don't think you ban people, but just off pure shame alone, you can't listen to that response and feel like you did anything but take a monster L. I need you on a dunk poster over this, faceless caller.
The staff never helps out with any useful information in my ear. Never researches topics, never corrects me when I say a name wrong, never provides any stats, but for some reason, they decided that this was going to be the topic that they were going to actually do some research on, and in my ear, they told me that the Kirkland private label, it's actually a private label, trademarked by Kirkland, and it's legally a brand. So, I need to talk to this caller, perhaps we need to get a cup of Kirkland coffee or something, and just really hash this out. Because I also want to know, like you, Mr. Golick, what are the qualifications? Like he said, hate to break it to you, like he works in the warehouse of Hanes and removes the Hanes labels and slaps on a Kirkland sticker on top. That's not how it works, man.
Reckless speculation.
Oh, I'm upset.
Whew.
That's too much for me.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be okay. We got it back on your side. You're back in the Kirkland bubble now.
Good. Thank you so much for bringing me back in the Kirkland bubble. Not only that, just for coming on the show. Mike Golick Jr., I hope you come back soon. Enjoy all your travels. If the listeners of this podcast wanted to, get some other Mike Golick Jr. content, where could you point them?
Well, they can check out First and Last, 4 to 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Also the podcast on the ESPN app and Apple Podcasts. They can check me out on the first 2 hours of Golick and Wingo every day or on Twitter at mGolickJr57.
Shout out.
So they doubled your time on Golick and Wingo.
Oh, yeah, double up. I get my full 4
doubled
every
your
morning
time.
now.
And they also doubled your salary, correct?
I'll let you know what's today, Thursday. I'll let you know later this afternoon.
I just want everyone listening to this, that when he said, I'll let you know Thursday, he looked at his watch tattoo that says Monday and then said Thursday. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll be back with another special guest tomorrow. Why, Reggie?
Done. We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
They my little guys. I love them.